So, on the most recent episode of Monday Night Raw, we started to get a little bit of a glimpse into what the War Games men's and women's matches could look like. And 'tis the season, we had William Regal come in to announce War Games for the men's side, Rhea Ripley claiming it to close out the show for the women's side. So, today's video, we're going to be taking a look at both the men's and women's, looking at who's on the team currently right now and who could join them. And real quickly, before we get too far ahead in the video, I want to say that if you are a WWE fan, consider subscribing to this YouTube channel. That is all we post is WWE related content. So if you're a WWE fan, again, consider subscribing. It's free. You can always change your mind later. And for the men's side, we're going to be taking a look at the Vision. The heel team in this year's men's War Games match is most likely at this point going to be the Vision. Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Logan Paul. And on the babyface side, we've got CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Jey Uso. Now, obviously, we know that a traditional War Games match is 5v5, and there's only 3 on each side. So, let's just say that they are going to still do a 5v5. I really struggled for the side of the Vision as to who I think could realistically join them. The most obvious one, in my opinion, would be Brock Lesnar. Obviously, you have the history with Paul Heyman, and we've been getting a little tease that there is something a little more between Brock and Paul Heyman. So, it would not surprise me at all if Brock gets added to this match. And then I really struggled, because there's not a whole lot to really pick from that would be a realistic choice. One guy that I do think is a little more realistic than everyone else would be Drew McIntyre. But that would obviously mean Drew McIntyre's suspension / him being off for filming is over and done by time War Games takes place. And I don't know if it is or it isn't. So that's why I have him as low as I do below Brock Lesnar, because I think Brock has a higher chance of being on the team than Drew does. And if it's not going to be Drew, who the heck else is there? One guy that has had his name tied into the Vision since basically the beginning of the faction is Austin Theory. Now, Austin Theory is technically hurt right now. Maybe he'll be back in time, maybe he won't, I don't really know. And then, very doubtful, but I think would be fun as heck to be in a War Games match, Rusev. I think Rusev would do a heck of a job in a War Games match, and that's something that I would love to see. Pairing him with guys like Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, possibly Brock Lesnar, whew. Again, I think Rusev is very doubtful, but you can't deny that it would be fun to see. The men's side, I think, is really easy. Obviously, the two big ones would be John Cena and Roman Reigns. Obviously, John Cena just winning the IC title, we don't really know what it's really going to look like the rest of the way. John Cena obviously would tie into most everybody on that team. Obviously, history with Cody, a butt ton of history with CM Punk. And then you have Roman Reigns, who also has a lot of history on his side. Obviously, we've seen him team with Jey Uso, we've seen him team with Cody Rhodes, oddly enough, and it just so happens that it was revealed a couple days ago that Roman Reigns and CM Punk are going to be teaming up for Zootopia 2, playing 2 zebra buddy cops. And with the way WWE loves to throw their sponsorships around, wouldn't surprise me at all if the men's War Games match is sponsored by Zootopia 2. And I'm terribly sorry if that actually does happen and I kind of put that into the universe. I'll take full responsibility for it. I apologize in advance. And some of the other names that I have, Randy Orton, I think is an obvious one. No one would really bat an eye if Randy Orton joined this team. Sami Zayn, I think, is another option that this team could go for. And I only say Sami Zayn because it kind of feels like he's being lost in the shuffle a little bit ever since he lost the US Championship. And it seems like whenever WWE gets put in one of these types of situations, it's usually Sami Zayn who gets added. So it would not surprise me at all if it is going to be Sami Zayn finding his way into this match. And since I did a doubtful but fun option on the heel side for the Vision, my doubtful but fun option for the babyface side would be Ilya Dragunov. Ilya Dragunov, I think, would be a fantastic addition to a War Games match. Again, that one is me being very doubtful about it happening, but God dang, would that be fun to watch. Shifting over to the women's side, where things may be a little easier to try to predict, considering there's only one spot that needs filled on either side, unless they want to go 4v4. Starting off with the heel side of the women's War Games match, where you have Nia Jax Last Legend and the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane. Now, who could be the one member that could realistically join the heel side for the women's War Games match? I think one of the obvious answers is Becky Lynch. Obviously, with Becky being the IC champion, her really not doing a whole lot right now, I think it would kind of make sense to see her join this group, even though storyline wise, it doesn't make any sense. But at this point of the year where War Games matches and storylines just don't really seem to matter, sure, you can throw Becky Lynch onto this team, and not a lot of people would be too worried about it. The other name that I have would be Jade Cargill. I think having Jade Cargill doing something that's relatively big in the grand scheme of things as her first real task as women's champion would be to dominate in a War Games match. And we did get just a little bit of a tease between her and Charlotte Flair, and we know that Charlotte Flair is on the babyface side, so you could maybe start to plant the seeds even more between those two having what many would consider a dream match. Outside of Becky and Jade, I really don't see anybody else that would make a whole lot of sense. Because let's call a spade a spade. The women's roster in terms of heels is very, very thin, which is why it made a lot of sense to turn Jade Cargill heel. Now, moving over to the babyface side of the women's War Games match, we've got Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, Io Sky, and Rhea Ripley. Really not surprising to see these four on the babyface side. While it is kind of weird seeing Charlotte Flair on the babyface side of things instead of a heel, she deserves it. Again, her work with Alexa Bliss has been absolutely phenomenal. Even though they did just lose the tag team titles, their work was still incredible, so Charlotte really deserves this spot. Now, as for who I see could join this team, there are a couple options here. I think the one obvious one would be AJ Lee. And if Becky Lynch is going to be the one who joins the heel side, it would make sense to have AJ Lee on the babyface side, because that way we could get to the 1v1 match that we really want to see between AJ Lee and Becky Lynch for the Women's IC Championship. So I do think that AJ would make the most sense out of anybody else on the women's roster right now. The two doubtfuls that I have on the women's side for the babyfaces team is Tiffany Stratton and Bianca Belair. Obviously, Bianca Belair still being injured. I don't know what her timeline is. I'm throwing her on this list just because I think it would make sense for her to be on this team if she was healthy. And then if you do have Bianca Belair on this team, then you could add Jade Cargill on the heel side, and then you could maybe have them starting to plant the seeds for their big match that everybody wants to see, similar to what I talked about between AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. The last doubtful that I have on the babyface side would be Tiffany Stratton. Obviously, again, similar to what I just talked about with Bianca Belair, similar to what I just talked about between Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill, it would make sense if Jade Cargill is going to be on the heel side that Tiffany Stratton would be on the babyface side. Those two just having a match, Jade Cargill defeating Tiffany Stratton for the Women's Championship. But I get the hunch that they're really gonna keep Tiffany Stratton off of TV for a little bit longer. Obviously, you have them playing up the knee injury, but I think given the length of the title reign that she had, I think she deserves a little bit of a break. So this is where I want to hear from you guys. Let me know down below in the comments, who do you want to see join the men's and women's War Games teams to round them all out? And also let me know what you think about my selections. Do you agree with them? Do you not agree with them? Let me know why you agree or disagree. And I made a lot of my picks just going off of what we know this time of the year to be for WWE, and that is for storyline purposes to really not make a whole lot of sense coming into War Games, where it just really seems like people just get thrown into the War Games match for the sake of being in the War Games match. A prime example of this would be Cody Rhodes. So I think storyline purposes are just kind of thrown out the window at this point of the year. So that's why a lot of my picks are kind of off the wall. But again, I want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions down below in the comments section. And while you're down there, swing by the description and click the Linktree link. That is the only link in bio for a reason, and that is because it'll take you to all of the social media platforms for this channel. And I do suggest going and checking out our X page. Besides YouTube, I am most active over on X. We do updates for Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown, and the PLEs. Another place that you can go and find us on is over on TikTok. Right now, since we are relatively early into that page's existence, the only content that really goes on over there is clips from these videos and just another place for me to post when I do upload a video to YouTube. But eventually, I am going to start doing some of the other WWE wrestling related things that takes place over on TikTok. So if you're scrolling on your phone one day and you come across one of those videos, drop it a like, drop it a follow, show it some love. I'd greatly, greatly appreciate it. With all that said and done, that is going to do it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. Again, both are free and both really, really help out the channel a lot. And of course, if you have made it to this point of the video, I want to say thank you very, very much for taking the time out of your busy day to watch these videos here, because again, it genuinely just means the world to me. And as always, stay tuned for more WWE content coming in the future. We'll see you next time.